storytelling basics. Most things in life takes one day to learn, but a lifetime to master. And that's kind of what we're doing at Night Owl Nation. Everyone who teaches brand storytelling is full of shit. So I've done story brand, like, oh yeah, you know, there's a character who has a problem that meets a guy who can show them, okay, sounds fucking great. When you actually take this fucking story brand structure or some setup conflict resolution or some of these, all these storytelling formulas that people are advertising, and you try to apply to your business, this is not as easy as I thought. That's what happens. The goal of every story is to teach a lesson by being relatable. You know how you hear that people say, oh, facts tell, stories sell? Like, it sounds nice, so they say it, but most people don't know what that means. So whenever I talk to like some sort of a copywriter or brand storyteller and be like, oh, can you tell me about story? And they're like, they just like, oh, give me some sales framework or one of those like story brand framework or something like that, right? Which is not really a story. What stories really is, everything in life you've ever learned, you learned it through a story. And that's why we instinctively know slow and steady wins the race. A lot of people say everything is selling. Well, I would say everything is teaching, including selling. Your customers are here and you're selling this. So there's a gap between what they don't know and you know. So therefore, you have to teach them what you know so they'll be here. Then you can sell. But until then, they'll never, ever buy. The structure of the story looks like this. It's simple. You don't have a story unless you have the old you, which is the myth, the new you, which is the truth, and then the story or the example is what shows you how you went from here to here. What we need to do is we need to have a break point where you heal from that trauma. And that is the actual story. And now you have a transformation from the old you to the new you. So what we do is we use rubric in the small groups to test your story. One of the things you can know whether do I have a good story or not, do I have a good story structure or not, even before I put in all the bells and whistles, is by going through these 4 things. Number 1, transformation. Is there old you and new you? Second thing, relatability. A lot of people do this. When they talk about the old you or the myth, they might come to me and say, everyone thinks yoga is so hard. What? What are you talking about? Nobody thinks yoga is hard. Everybody thinks yoga is easy. So right away, that's wrong because it's a myth that only you believe in. So the third test is show, don't tell. When you tell me a story, I have to be able to draw a picture in my head. There has to be a 5-second slice of your life that you have to be able to tell me descriptively. And finally, kill your darlings. I need to make sure that you just have one clear lesson. That's it. Start with the story. So the best way to come up with the stories is to start with the story and then try to figure out what the lesson is. So your assignment this week, think of a vivid memory in your past where something you believed to be true turned out to be false. The reason why I said vivid memory is because I want you to start from the moment where like you can literally picture yourself in the room, what's happening. Here's an example. When I was 19 years old, I was going out clubbing with my friends and we went to a Chinese restaurant first for dinner. But then like we had a lot of leftovers. But we were going to a club, so we didn't want to bring like leftover takeout Chinese food to a club. So on the way, I saw a homeless lady sleeping on the bench. So I put the food next to her head, and then she woke up, and I got a little bit scared. I was like, oh, because I thought she was gonna be like, why are you giving me like, what are you giving me leftovers? Blah, blah, blah. Like I thought she was gonna yell at me for that. But then she was like, oh, she actually was so thankful. She was like, oh, thank you. She's like, I haven't eaten all day. I was like, thank you so much. And she actually opened it and started eating it right in front of me. And then I started tearing up. And I just sat there and I had a whole conversation with her for like 20-30 minutes. And at the end, I just gave her whatever money I had. And I still remember that day like vividly. And that was the day when I truly realized that helping people is what makes you happy. What's a moment in your favorite movie where something the main character believed to be true turned out to be false? So if you watch Lion King, he's like, oh, Hakuna Matata. Like he forgot about his family. He's like, fuck it. Like I'm just gonna enjoy life and, you know, no worries, right? And then Nala comes and like, hey, how are you doing, Simba? Wake up, right? You got a kingdom to run. And then he goes to the water and he sees his reflection and he sees his dad come out. And that scene with where the dad, you know, kind of speaks to him is the moment when he realizes that actually, like, I can't just be an irresponsible goofball sitting here eating bugs and shit. I have to go. I got a responsibility. So that's the turning point of the moment when he realizes something. What I want you to do is I want you to tell that story. Make sure you have a old you versus new you, the myth versus truth, in your small group. I just want you to go to your small group and just tell it as it comes out of your head. Just immediately just tell it. Don't try to make it perfect. Tell it as it comes out. And then also give feedback to the stories that other people share. So after you guys share in your small group, what I want you to do is retell it on video. The reason why we do this is because every time you retell a story, the story becomes a little bit more clear, a little more clear, a little more clear, a little more clear. And I think you're going to learn something new from doing that. Story is literally in our DNA. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming to our first Sunday. Like I always say, we're all in this together. We're a true community. So I'm here to support you. You're here to support us, all of us. Thank you, everyone. Cheers. See you all next week.